what I wait for every year when I come to Africa. Being able to kudu hunt in the mountains. Reminds me of elk hunting back home. It's in my blood. I absolutely love it. And the cool part about it is I'm going to be able to hunt with Benton. Now Benton and I shot a 60-inch kudu bull years ago that died in the water, which is like shooting a 400-inch class bull elk back home. So we're back again. A-team on kudu bulls. We're going after them. I am so stoked right now. I'm looking at a shooter kudu bull. There's 6 of them all together. They're just feeding on the side of this big mountain draw. I don't know if I'm going to work the bottom or the top yet, but I'm making a plan. They have no idea we're here. They're just up and they're just feeding, and we're in golden hour. This is absolutely spectacular to watch these kudu bulls work on the side of this hill.
We've got an entire group of kudu bulls. Now this time of year, all of these are in a big bachelor group and extremely hard to spot and stalk. Luckily, I had some tall grass and I could actually crawl through there to get within my effective range.
Got these kudu bulls right at the bottom of the hill in the shadow. And we've got about another 100 yards to crawl before we're within our effective range. Got a little bit of wind. We're gonna have to duck tight. Hopefully we can get a shot.
This is one of those moments of truth where everything has to come together and you have to focus. As I get closer and closer and closer, the adrenaline runs through my heart and my body and makes me get extreme anxiety. Through experience, I've told myself to calm down, pay attention, making sure that I'm going through my sequence. When I finally grab the rangefinder, this is an extended shot, 105 yards. One that I've practiced over and over again. One that I wouldn't take if the conditions weren't right and I didn't feel good about it. I draw the bow, pull my front arm against my back arm. The new Range 7 sets the pin in the spot.
Guys, we just laid the hammer down on a kudu bull. This is so exciting. This for me is the ultimate animal in Africa. We spot and stalked it on the ground. We just made a 105-yard shot. Shot him right on the point right here and zipped him through with the new rain right there. Guys, I love kudu bull hunting. It's the ultimate. It's the reason I come to Africa every year, and spot and stalk in the mountains just like that was just like a bull elk. Oh my gosh, what an unbelievable shot. I love it when I spend all of my time practicing. I come out in the field in a real hunting environment and be able to make a shot just like that. Kudu bull probably stayed on his feet for less than 20 seconds. Just absolutely spectacular. A-team here in Africa for sure.
The greater kudu bulls.
We're sitting here with an absolutely magnificent one, spot and stalk in the mountains, exactly the way it should be done, Western style for sure. Hunting connects us. No matter where you are in the world, when hunters get together, we're all connected. We all believe the same thing. We all love the same thing. I'm gonna be in camp for 1 solid month next year. I've got 3 different safaris planned, and you're invited. So whoever would like to come, I can give you more information on how you can come and spend time. If you're a rifle hunter or if you're a bow hunter, if you'd like to come over with us, and I'm gonna be doing a lot of teaching. We've got a bunch of target systems and walkthrough trail targets, and there's gonna be a lot of opportunity to take a lot of animals. So regardless whether you're a bow hunter or gun hunter, you want to do some dangerous game or plains game, definitely next year is definitely the great opportunity. Africa is in my heart, it's in my blood, and I love learning over here and taking it back west, and the things I learn west I take over here. Isn't it about just being a field and learning as much as I can? If you could see the hills, if you could see the sun going down right now, and if you could feel the horns on this kudu bull, it's just super, super spectacular. It's not the taking of an animal, but the time you spend with family and friends afield.
We're connected by the hunt, the stories and the times that will never leave us, that become part of who we are. The mud that we've collected on the bottom of our boots together all over Africa. Wow, this truly is Africa. In one 10-day trip in Africa, you can learn more than you can 5 years in a North America hunt. Just the fact that there aren't any tags and everything, as long as it's mature, is basically a target.
It's God, it's it. Check that thing out right now. Kind of burrowed into the brush pile right there. It's actually submerged in the ground 3 or 4 feet under, so we actually shoot at the level of the vitals, which gives us a whole better level of shoot through. So this is it. Let's get going. Those of you that have never hunted in Africa or from a blind, yes, actually hunt from a blind. I have learned little techniques that really do help me. Now this is cell 2. I have some experience in this blind, and I've shot several animals, a kudu bull and a gemsbok out of this. And gemsbok usually don't come to water but every couple of days. So this is a super, super special blind, and I can't believe I'm back in it again. Now, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be looking out this way, crossed, and Mike is going to be over in the other part of the window looking in the opposite direction. We've got a really good carpet on the bottom. We're super, super silent. We're going to be ultra quiet. And then what's going to happen is I'm going to grab the bow, and instead of peeking myself in the window, I'm going to set to the side, and then I'm going to draw, and I'm going to come into view to be able to the least amount of exposure out this window. Now you have to realize that when it's high noon, there's big contrast ratio. The difference between the light outside the blind and the inside of the blind have huge stops difference and most likely won't see you. But in prime time, when that sun starts to go down, then the inside of the blind and the outside of the blind match lighting wise, so the eye dilation is closer to each other, and most likely they can see you move in the shadows. These animals are super, super, super skittish. So again, hunting from the blind, being silent, and spending some time behind the glass really looking, it keeps you in tune with the whole entire hunt. You'll enjoy it more, and it's super fun. Mike, you ready?
Yes, Jim, and I think it's very important that, you know, as you said, it's, these animals are so sharp that you've got to really, really take the time to pull back and step up to the window to shoot. That is one of the biggest mistakes that you can make. They'll pick up that little bit, something slightly wrong, and they'll be out of there.
Especially when you have a big herd of something coming in here and there's so many animals concentrated in one place. And again, guys, what I tell everybody is everybody lies to each other with their buddies. They say that it was behind the shoulder. They say that they picked a hair, right? But it only takes an extra 3 seconds to aim. And I know that sounds simple, but I cannot tell you with all the experience out of all of the hundreds and hundreds of animals I've shot in Africa, taking an extra 3 seconds to aim is the name of the game. Being able to make sure that you walk up into that top of the lower third, come up on the target, never down on the target, holding through, pulling your front arm against your back arm, and making sure that you have the distance completely set. Now I'm going to be shooting a single pin. I've got my multi-pin right here, and I've also got my single pin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dial it to the exact number that animal is standing. Now it's going to take me a little extra time to be able to range find, but it'll pay big dividends when that animal standing in front of me. I can pull that bow and shoot that perfect shot. There's just something magical about being able to shoot and watch that arrow strike that animal exactly where you were aiming. That's what it's all about, practice. So this is it. Mike, you ready?
All right.
You set up over there, I'll set up over here.
Okay,
We'll start
that's
looking,
cool.
huh? The slightest of movement, several hundred yards out, you can really start to see those animals move, and that's what we're looking at. In the heat wave, many times, we've got some mirage coming up, and man, it's like a prime time because we're here in the middle of the day. Perfect. We got some of the only water in the area, so we should have a lot of action in the blind here.
Now, normally I don't like to shoot out of blinds, but one of the best opportunities this time of year, especially with their dry climate and the fact that they're in a drought, a lot of those animals are going to be targeting and hitting that water source. Running up in a blind is probably my best opportunity.
Got a Gemsbok right here, Bo. Got Gemsbok coming in right here.
Okay, chum, that's quite a big herd.
Dude, I already see a good bull.
All right, come quickly.
One in the lead.
Let's get organized. It's all about moving now. There's a big bull.
Oh my gosh.
There's a big bull.
When you're hunting out of a blind like this, all of these animals come in and you're looking for the trophy. You're looking for the one that you need to shoot. A lot of times the animals all work in conjunction with each other. So one little slight movement and they all just blow up and they run out of the blind. Many times they run and they wonder whether this is a real threat or not, just like this Gemsbok. The slightest movement sent him off, and then he stopped and gave me the right opportunity.
Dude, I got him good. I got good blood.
No, I can see the blood coming out.
Dude, that was awesome. There were lots and lots and lots of big bulls. That right there, we just laid the hammer down on a monster. This right here is one of the most special animals in Africa, one that's super hard to get with a bow and arrow, and it's definitely, if you've not shot one yet, should be on your list. Oh,
That was a fantastic shot.
dude, we
I
just
could see on that shot that you could actually see that little puff of blood come out over there.
Dude.
That was awesome.
We just hunted the sun. We just did it. My gosh, it feels so good to be back in Africa. Now guys, everything that you do, pay attention to the small details. Right now, we're hunting in a different type of bush veld than we normally hunt. We've got sand on the ground. It's gonna be super hard to find blood. Now, when we laid the hammer down, we had a shot over the top of this, and this Gemsbok basically stood right here, and we gave him the hammer right here through this brush pile, and this is a good reference. One of the last things you do before you pull the trigger is you pay attention. You look at the snapshot, what I physically see, so that I know exactly where he was standing. Many times, you can get off course. Mike, we got the dog, right?
All right, the dog's
That's gonna help a
Yeah,
whole bunch. He was standing right here.
yeah, the dog's ready to get going. So we've got some tracks and blood, and the dog's on. Yep,
It's amazing to watch these dogs physically work. Now, normally, when I go ahead and pull the trigger, I usually shoot through about 90% of everything I've done. But when I looked back and I grabbed the binoculars and I paid attention, I saw that I had only shot through one side. Good news is we put it in the spot. The bad news is we don't have a trail all the way through both sides with blood coming out on both sides. But I tell you what, these dogs are extremely intelligent and they definitely know how to find some blood. Now what happens is if you come over here and you start to look, we've got a little bit of blood right here. As you can see it right here, it's all balled up. So what happens is, when that blood falls out on the body, it's just like a raindrop hitting and splatting, but when it hits the sand, it dries it up. So a lot of times you won't see the blood right here on top of it. You gotta really pay close attention like we have right here, a little part of the blood that's completely encapsulated on the outside, and if we rub it, we've definitely got blood on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and track them up. Shouldn't went far. Less than 100 yards, we're gonna have a Gemsbok. Now I've got Mike and the tracker and the dog out in front of me. Many times we send somebody out in the front and then I'll go step by step and see if I can actually find the blood in case they lose it. Now most likely these Gemsbok or any animal that comes in from a certain direction, after he gets shot, he's gonna run back from the same direction because obviously he doesn't know that there's anything wrong behind him and what happened to him was in front of him. So most likely they're gonna turn around and run back just like this Gemsbok did. Man, look at the amount of tracks in the sand. These are all fresh. I don't know how many there were, but I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna say that there were well over 35 Gemsbok, many of them mature, huge big bulls. And I think we shot the third biggest one. He's the one that gave us the best opportunity, the quickest, and there wasn't anything behind him, and so we laid the hammer down.
There's just something magical about walking up on a trophy that you actually took with a bow and arrow. It's so rewarding. And to be in such a faraway land with really good friends and be able to celebrate in the time of hunting. Africa is just filled with adventure.
Here we are, hunting the sun over in Africa. My heart is filled today because this is my very first day in Africa on the trip, and here we sit with a magnificent Gemsbok. Those of you that have never been around this animal, it's super, super special. And both the males and the females have horns on them. Usually the females are much longer than the males, but this is an extraordinary one. Came in there was a couple of other bigger males, but this gave us an opportunity. He's compressed at the bottom, huh?
Yes, he's nice and hard. You can see that he's stopped growing. He's got no more soft material over here, so he is at his maximum. He's an old chap. We've had a look at his teeth over here. We saw that he's pretty flat. So pretty much that's a trophy we're taking. He's the right one.
The right one.
Fantastic animal.
Doesn't get any better than that.
This is really one of my favorite animals. Just such a regal looking animal.
It's amazing how they conflict the sun. It's like a very coarse hair but hollow almost,
yeah,
you know?
This is really fantastic, and you know his whole body covering protects him and insulates all that heat. His body temperature can actually go up to way over 45 degrees Celsius, and it's the only animal that can do that. And one of the unique things about it is that his brain can't receive that hot blood. So he's got a system where the blood goes from his heart and it goes over a nasal passage, it's called nasal shunting, before it goes into his brain. And they've got kind of a bit of a panting and a bit of a evaporation over that the blood vessels that cool that blood and send cooler blood into the brain.
Well, Mike, thank you so much,
Awesome.
man. I so much appreciate spending time with you.
The smell of the grass in the morning, the sunrises and the suns that just seem to be bigger in Africa. My heart longs for adventure. It longs to spend time in wild places with great friends. And when we're rewarded with the opportunity of taking an animal, it's even sweeter.
Spot and stalk, definitely on the ground, is a Blesbok. My very first animal I ever took in my very first Africa trip was a Blesbok, and I feel like I've been truly blessed ever since. But we got right in there. We were trying to take him out through the grass, had a problem with the rangefinder because obviously I had things in front of them. Picked their heads up, looked at them. Now both the Blesbok, both the females and the males, both have horns. There was one male directly in front of us. He picked his head up a couple of times. He was quartering towards us, made a circle, got in line with another one and just didn't have the opportunity, but we were so close but yet so far away. Went from a hero to a zero. This right here is the machine. Now we've got lots of safari vehicles here on the farm, but this right here is the only way to ride.
South Africa, the training grounds for a bow hunter. Travel to a foreign land halfway around the world. Hunt an animal and a species that you've only heard about. This to me is what hunting's about. It's the Western version of hunting, spot and stalk, on the ground, difficult way that we love to do it out here in Africa.
Hey guys, we're flying the colors in Africa, and yes, there is an arrow missing on a very special species that I've been trying to shoot for a really long time with my bow and arrow, a common reed buck. These things use cover in order to hide themselves, huh, Benton?
Yep, absolutely. Tall grass, anything they can find.
It's funny because they lay their ears back, and you can walk many times 3 or 4 yards from it before they actually get up, and many times they'll just run off another 100, 200 yards and then they'll bed back down. And Benton here noticed some horns just above the grass, and we were able to sneak on them. We got to about 76 yards. I'm proud of myself on that one, Benton.
Excellent shooting. Fantastic shooting.
It was awesome. We pumped him right in the spot. Benton, thank you so much, bro.
More than welcome.
This is the eagle eye right here, the eagle eye. We have a lot of fun together, but we just laid the hammer down. We shot some good stuff. Benton, I got the arrow right here.
Excellent.
Here we go, guys. Okay, there is a lot of evidence. I really love searching around, taking an extra minute if I have the daylight to be able to find my arrow. There's so much to be learned. First thing, when you pick an arrow up like this, my blade is completely intact. It's still totally razor sharp. And I've got a little bit of swavering right through here, probably from the front shoulder on the opposite side, and my tip bent a little bit, but everything is still pretty much intact. The arrow in general has a lot of blood on it. It's in the lungs, and so it's super bubbly, it's super bright red, and so we know that we have a really good hit. Let's go find us a common reed buck. That's pretty cool. Good. Well, no two blood trails are the same. We have tracked all the way. I just got on my knees to talk to camera, and behind us is our mountain reed buck. He's right there. Well guys, my heart is filled right now because here we sit with a common reed buck. One of my dreams here in Africa was to be able to take one of these with a bow and arrow, spot and stalk, Western style, just like we do out home. What an absolutely great hunt. It was an awesome shot. In the wind, animal was moving away, but again, if you're able to focus and you pay attention to where he's placed, how he's acting, where he's going, the wind, where your shot placement should be, make sure that you have the range down. Be able to make shots like that out in the field. It's one thing to do it on a flat target, but it's another thing to come out and be able to hammer on them when you're spotting and stalking them. Benton, thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate all of your effort. I want to tell everybody that I'm going to be here for an entire month. I've got 3 different safari plans. If you guys like to come out for the first time, bring a bow, bring a gun, bring your family. Come and enjoy 20 different species on our 3 different safaris. If you have a good attitude and you love hunting like we do, we'd love to have you in camp. I can get you all the details. Look me up on Facebook and private message me. I'll get you the information. We're having a lot of fun and we're shooting a lot of arrows out here.
This week I'm hunting with Hunt the Sun in South Africa. Now the PH and I were really sneaking and trying to get really close to these black wildebeests. And then all of a sudden, we realized that Blesbok were all around us. And as we all know, in Africa, it's all about opportunity. When it's in front of you, you got to take advantage of it. I was all set up and steady on the 6, and I was just waiting, watching these Blesbok pile in and out of the brush. It's really difficult because both the males and the females have horns.
Okay, Jim, they're coming out the bush.
Yep, I got
Can
him.
you see them? Okay, the first 2 are females, the male's behind. Wait for him to come out, he's gonna walk out.
Female.
Okay, male's the last one coming out the bush.
Okay, I got him. And
You
you still
got
have a good sight picture?
Wait for him to stop.
That was super exciting. We had all these Blesbok in the brush country, and it's really hard because both the females and the males both have horns, so we were just like evaluating each one of them. I was in the scope, he was in the binoculars, we were just like looking at them. They came full circle, we did move. That's the #1 thing to key on us. And then he finally gave us that position all the way through there. I think it pays to be the most versatile shooter you possibly could be. So for those of you that are actually planning on coming to Africa for the first time, learn to shoot off of sticks. This will really help you. In fact, we go ahead with these tripods, okay? But if you did have a bipod, just like this that you're actually practicing off of, when you go ahead and you set up, what you want to do is make sure that you're not over the pair of sticks. You want to be able to lean them back so that you have a good platform. And then I actually do a push and a pull. I'm leaning my body into the gun. I'm pulling with the gun to my shoulder, and I'm pushing the sticks away from me that allows a stable platform. With the tripod, it really does allow me to stabilize much better. But again, I want to have a good stance. I got my legs sent backwards. I'm pushing and pulling and making the crosshair sit. The most important thing to do is to never take the shot if you're not steady. In Africa, right around the corner, you're going to find another opportunity. You make a bad shot, you spend the entire day, trying to finish it up, rather than making one really good one like this Blesbok right here. Let's go find him. There's our Blesbok. Nice job, dude. Teamwork right there. Beautiful. Guys, look at this. Now, these are hard to evaluate because both the males and the females have horns. And again, that lung region, the vitals are much far forward. And instead of shooting them in the crease behind the shoulder, here in Africa, we really practice and we really want you to break down the front shoulders and place that bullet in the perfect place right through both spots, and it was a really quick recovery. That Blesbok is a really good one. He's starting to have compression. He's not super old, but he's definitely a trophy, and he's compressing at the bottom, huh, Daniel?
Yeah, he's very good.
And what's cool is he's got a whole sheen to him. He's a lot different color than a lot of the other Blesboks that I've taken. He almost looks a lot like a Bonte buck that's very similar in nature, a little bit different on the hocks, and just an extraordinary trophy. But I want to thank you, dude.
Not a problem, Jim.
That's it right there, guys.
Jim,
Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Tell him not to go anywhere. Tell him.
Don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere. You're watching Western Extreme on the Outdoor Channel, and we're in Africa this week. And what are we going to do some more of?
We got some black wildebeest and a few more Blesbok to take.
We're hunting.
Maybe a springbuck or 2.
That's it. Or 2 or 3 or maybe half a dozen. We're going to feed people while we're here. This is going to be the ultimate stock. The only problem is it's got the wind and it's been swirling all morning long. Hopefully we're going to get some good constant wind. And we're going to be able to work through there. The problem in Africa is there's just so many species and so many different animals that interact with each other. You spook one set, and it spooks the other one, and it's like a chain reaction all the way up and down. So let's see if we can sneak in here and make it happen.
We had found this really big eland. I started to do literally a full-blown leopard crawl. Now I'd had the ghillie suit on and I blended really well, but again, everything in Africa wants to live.
Thermals are pretty constant now. and I've got an exact plan of attack in the direction I'm supposed to go. The only problem is I've got a whole bunch of red lechwe that are kind of like in the way, but I think I can maneuver around and get in close. This right here is an eland. It weighs over 2,000 pounds. It's so awesome. This is the exact eland track of the bull that we're trying to kill. We're coming right up his back trail. He was standing here less than 10 minutes ago. We've got to let them lechwe move. When I get close like this, I start to get a little nervous. My heart starts pounding and I start going fast. So I'm just going to take a breather, see if I can stretch my arms a little bit, because the moment of truth comes, I'm going to have to draw the bow. The animals have no idea I'm here right now.
Now, the other thing, when you make a long stalk like this, you never know how long it's going to take you to actually get to the animal. You can only move as fast as you are quiet. And in Africa, a lot of times you don't have much cover to be able to hide behind in order to get there.
One of those eland is moving off to the left. There's one good one and one really good shooter.
Mike had told us about a small water source. We felt like those animals were getting up for the afternoon and starting to move towards it. So our plan was we were going to move around and get in front of them. And when we arrived, all these animals started to pile in. And what even made it more difficult, the one eland that I wanted to shoot, all of these other eyeballs were within our effective range also. I draw the bow, put the pin on the inside of the kneecap, bubble level with my left eye, go back to aiming with my right, pull my front arm against my back arm, start to create tension.
Guys, Western Extreme brought the West, ow, stickers, brought the West out here in Africa, and I just spot and stalked an eland, the largest antelope in all of Africa. 56-yard shot over the shoulder, pounded him, shot through the backside, absolutely shot him through the 12 ring. That eland has to be down right now, guys. That was awesome. My heart is pounding. That was better than an elk. That was better than a kudu bull. That right there was an eland. My heart is still pounding, dude.
That was an awesome.
You know, look at how devastating an arrow can be when you put it in the right spot. The hunt just becomes better. It becomes more rich. It's the reason we do it. As the sun is leaving us on this side of the world and it's heading to your side of the world, I want you to remember adventure. I want you to think about the kids. I want you to realize that hunting is much more than the taking of an animal, but spending time in wild places with great friends. Western Extreme, it's 12th season. This is my 16th trip to Africa. Super special. And yes, I'm crying, and yes, I lost my man card. But this right here is my life. Thanks for joining us here on Western Extreme with a huge, gigantic eland today. Thanks a lot, Mike.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Good shot.
This is what it's about right here. Get them up.
And then I want you to apply pressure. I want you to apply pressure without it going off. Okay, that was too much. It went off too early, right? But I want you to apply just the right amount. And what you'll do is you'll learn how much pressure you can put on the release without it going off. Now, the timing between when we see the X and when it goes off is shortened, and you'll be even more accurate. Preloading the trigger is a super important thing. The very first time I was able to take an ostrich and be able to spot and stalk him on the ground, out of my entire safari, it was the #1 animal that I was mesmerized by. And now it's been years later, and now I'm back again with a bow in hand, and I'm able to pursue another one.
Traven, you can really see that most of these are males. As they get older, they get darker. And so the light colored ones, the 2 of them, are females, and the rest of them are males. So we got like a big group of males to be able to hunt. I think you should just hang back, and I'm gonna sneak around the backside and try to get in that bush, and I'll definitely be within my effective range. So I'm gonna crawl across this grass that's just tall enough.
Okay.
Okay, sit back and watch.
These animals are extremely fast and aggressive. Their dew claws and their claws on their feet are super impressive. In my opinion, if a lion went up against an ostrich, I don't even know who would win.
We have these ostriches right in front of us, but we're gonna go around here to the right-hand side, get lower in the hill, and see if we can get closer.
Now this is a really long shot, so I've got to be able to concentrate, so it's important that I follow through my entire shot sequence. I draw the bow, start at the inside of the kneecap, float up in the top and lower third. I'm aiming with my right eye, I bubble level with my left eye, I start to pull my front arm against my back arm, make the pin physically set, and if it sets in the spot against all of the wind and the conditions, I pull through the shot. Now an ostrich may seem like a really big bird, but its kill zone is very small, and you've got to be able to stroke it right in the spot.
One of the neatest animals in Africa. It's been about 7 years since I've shot one, but they're super intelligent actually, and they are super hard to spot and stalk, and we just got it done. And we plummeted him, and he lived about 1.5 minutes and went down. And when we walk up here, the leather on an ostrich is extremely special, and so it's just one of those animals that has been on my bucket list for a really long time to shoot again, and we just got it done with the new Range 7. I'm excited. Traven, did you watch that?
Yeah, it was a good shot.
It was crazy because once he took it, you could just see him just start to have a bad day, and he tipped his head and then just went around there and finally fell over.
Yeah.
What happens when you're watching an animal like that, you know, what I do is I don't put an arrow in the bow. I don't like, you know, expose myself. I always think all I got to do is be able to get there. When I get closer and closer and closer, I find myself, you know, getting more excited, more adrenaline, and that's a time to just really breathe and start to calm down. I don't ever put an arrow in the bow until I'm in my effective range. I don't want to stab anybody, and I don't want to definitely stab myself. And so I don't want to make any mistakes. And then it also becomes more clumsy. You can make more noise, so you really want to just get there. But got right to that spot, dude. Laid the hammer down. I still remember the arrow. It just flew so straight, and then all the way through him, and then he just ran around until he fell over there. Did you watch him fall down? No? It's pretty awesome. Well, this is a special animal, man. I can't wait to show him to you.
Yeah, can't wait to see him.
Well, guys, I've never been much of a bird hunter. I've done a little bit of duck and goose hunting, and I've done very little turkey hunting, but this right here is ultimate bird hunt. Just by its sheer size, it's absolutely extraordinary. As you can see, it's just such an amazing bird. It's got these huge prehistoric style, you know, feet on it with these big dew claws. And then if you lift the wing right here, you can see I just plummeled him and shot him right through the 12 ring. But look right here, guys. Look at that. Be something you'd watch in the Fred Flintstone cartoon almost with its sheer size, but it's absolutely extraordinary. What an amazing bird. These are also making an extraordinary trophy. We watched Highfelt Taxidermy actually mount some of these, and so they're just spectacular. But this right here is definitely the ultimate bird hunt. And I'm with my really good friend Traven and his family here in our camp in Africa, and just absolutely an extraordinary hunt. We're gonna go lay the hammer down on something with some horns. Definitely a Botekian, a really good friend of mine, and somebody that I'm mentoring and teaching, Traven Bees, all the way from South Dakota on his very first trip to Africa. He had an entire bucket list, but after I shot my ostrich and one stood in front of him, watch out, arrows are coming.
Well, I've always wanted to shoot an ostrich since I've seen them for the first time, and sitting in our blind here, nice one came in, so I shot it and watched him fall down from the blind up here, so let's go check him out.
What was that?
Said Jimmy wants to come see him right away.
Well, everybody, this is a super exciting hunt. Now, Traven is 13 years old, and this is his very first African safari, and he's been laying the hammer down with a Carvin Icon, which is one of the greatest bows, especially for somebody that's just growing up, and he's about 60 pounds, you know, with a draw length of about 27, 28 inches, lots of kinetic energy, and Traven's been shooting through everything. He shot through this ostrich, right?
Yep.
This right here is the ultimate turkey hunt, guys. Those of you that love to hunt turkey, this thing is way bigger and way cooler, and it's got a lot more meat on it, and this is a totally mature one. I'm proud of you guys. Martin, great job.
Well, thank you.
Great job. Way to PH him. Way to PH him.
Good shooting there.
Everything in North America should be scared right now. That kid right there is shooting a Bowtech. If you're a young lady and you're looking for the right guy, we'll have Traven's phone number here at the end of the show for you. And his dad does have hunting ground. Because on this property alone, we have over 20 species. We're going after a really good big Neala bull. And we're gonna hunt it just like we do mule deer back home. So this is the top secret recipe. You basically take a pair of these wool socks, run them over the top. Now normally, I have another pair of like, just very narrow shoes, almost like slippers that I use. But my slippers aren't in my pack, so we're gonna make the best of it. These Neala are really trick, one of the neatest animals in all of Africa, and definitely a spot and stalk animal that you can get done with a bow and arrow if you're careful. Now this bull right now is just feeding underneath one of the big shade trees. We had a lot of weather and temperature come in here over the last 7 or 8 days. So now we're just gonna lay the hammer down. You will not believe the difference when you have something good on your feet. You can sneak right down on them. We're on top of this hill, got a landmark, we're going after them. A Neala is a really special species and one of the greatest bow hunting animals there is. It's one of them that's extremely shy, but they actually use their blend-in colors in order to hide themselves. So a lot of times they'll run just a few yards, try to conceal themselves, and stay away from danger. That rock right there is what we gotta get to, and the Neala's right over the other side. Now we had very little wind, and this was going to be a really long poke. In fact, potentially one of the longest shots I've ever made in Africa in my entire bow hunting career. I have spent my entire life trying to figure out how I can make myself better. Now I wouldn't shoot these shots every day, but in the right circumstances, I have done so much practicing and tuning and learning and picking the right equipment. It's allowed me to have this type of accuracy long range. just made a 96-yard shot into a really super nice Neala bull. We got it done. Really felt comfortable with the shot, pin physically set, let it go, and I absolutely hammered on that Neala bull. Let's go get a close-up. Oh, there he is, down. Down, Vincent, down. Oh my gosh, you guys, check this out. Those of you that have never been out to Africa and want to come for the first time, I want to invite you to come with me. Next year, I'm going to be in camp for a solid month. We've got 3 different safaris that we're planning. We're going to do some dangerous game. Most of it's going to be plains game. It's absolutely extraordinary. Everything from the accommodations to over 20 different species that you can chase. So I'll be doing a lot of teaching and little seminars in camp, and we're going to be laying the hammer down on some animals just like this. Good plains games.
Most of this dung you see here is impala. Different animals do that. Waterbuck, blue wildebeest, they tend to crawl up into a place. You know, they bed down under the trees, and this is where your dominant males do their thing and mark the territories. That's why all over the places you'll see dung piles like this.
You know, Benton, in North America, we really don't find dung piles like this. This is just very unique to Africa, you know. This whole entire flat looks like it's got a lot of game that's been running around in here. Really cool.
We've worked really hard and long, and we finally have a big trophy water buck directly in front of us. The problem is the wind's clipping pretty hard. It's swirling a little bit, high noon, and we've got to be able to work around and try to get close enough.
Those water buck just head right down the hill. They're coming into bed in a perfect position. The wind's in the perfect spot. You're gonna have to move forward a little bit.
So Benton decided to stay back and let me move up in order to see if I can be able to spot and stalk. I've got to stay low to the ground using the cover and hopefully not be able to be seen.
I've got to get around this rock pile, and I'm in my effective range. We've got right here where he actually dug and took off at a dead run. You can see his hoof print. In fact, this is quite impressive. If you look right here, you can see his dew claws in the back and his hoof print right here. It's separated, absolutely in distress, and also going 90 miles an hour out of here. Now what's really impressive is these are his back 2 legs, and they leaped completely forward to right here. That's a gigantic leap, but you can really see this on the ground. But man, you can't see any blood yet on the ground, right? And a lot of times in this soil, that blood spore will fall and then it'll cover itself with the dirt itself. And if we've got a lot of moisture, we should be able to see blood on the ground. We don't have any blood yet, but we can see right here where he's actually following right through the spot. You can keep track right here, Benton. Now I've kind of lost him. We still don't have any blood whatsoever. Now we've got another one over here that was also in his track. There he is right there. There he is right there.
There he is.
Down. Down. Thank you so much, bro.
In the salt pot.
I really appreciate that. We'll be able to get back to you, but this right here is one of those spectacular animals. I want to thank you for joining us here on Western Extreme. And don't go anywhere. When we come back, we've got some more African hunting.
About 450 yards, there's an entire herd working through this draw, so we'll try to get the right wind and go after them. Blue wildebeest are one of the toughest animals in Africa. They're extremely smart, and the fact that they're a herd animal and they love to run. Both the females and the males have horns, and to get them to stand still long enough and be able to stalk within just a few yards to be able to take them with a bow and arrow is extremely challenging.
Both the males and the female wildebeest have horns, and so sometimes the distance is super hard to tell the difference between the two of them. So I have to find the bull,
then I have to range find, then I have to dial, and then I have to calculate the wind and make a shot. And these shots are not measured in yards, they're measured in zip codes. After 5 or 6 attempts, moving in and out of there, we finally got enough brush cover to get close. When I get the bow drawn and I start to settle the pin, it all comes together. Everything else goes away. All I'm focusing on is the shot placement.
Guys, we just laid the hammer down on a blue wildebeest. We have worked so hard over the last few days to be able to make that happen. We kept coming in and out of here. We've got within 100 yards, 125 yards, 150 yards. Every time the big groups all get together, they run off, and we finally got one to stand still long enough. We were in the wind. It was a super long poke, but we got it done. I'm gonna go get Benton, and we're gonna follow up on the poor man's buffalo. A big, huge monster. This bull was probably the top 3 bulls that I've ever seen in my life. Huge blue wildebeest. This is it. We're sitting here with the poor man's buffalo, one of the greatest targets in all of Africa to be able to pursue with a bow and arrow, spot and stalk on the ground. You learn more in Africa in 10 days than you will in North America in 4 years. Coming out here and being able to hunt like this is just absolutely extraordinary. And all the new species and all the things that we learn as we are afield, and then we have all the experience of PHs like Benton to take home all of those lessons and hopefully use them in North America. I'm going to be in Africa next year for an entire month in 3 different safaris. If you'd like to join us, you're welcome to. Teaching, we're going to do a lot of bow hunting, we're going to sit in the blind, we're going to spot and stalk. If you're a gun hunter, you'd like to bring your family or your wife or whatever, no problem with that at all. If you want more information on that, private message me at Jim Burnworth on Facebook. I'm a Western hunter. I love the West. I love spotting and stalking. I'm a bow hunter at heart. Bow hunting is in my DNA. And when I get to travel around, I take that techniques and things that I've learned out West and I apply them to Africa. And the things I've learned in Africa, I apply to out West. And one of the things that has been kind of like my mission is to learn to track better. Now, I never expect to be able to track at the level that a lot of these trackers can track at, but I want to learn for myself. And so one of the things that I have done is I am taking pictures of every single track that I find. And then right before I go to bed every night, I sift through all of the tracks, and then it allows me to instantly identify them. So we got a little bitty track right here. It's a bush buck. Now the females and the males, you know, they're various in sizes. Of course, the male's bigger than the female, but what's very unique about it is that's a pretty big animal for that little bitty track. And that means it can walk around in this bush country without making any noise. It just figures out how to disappear. We had that bush buck dead. A bush buck is like one of the greatest trophies in Africa to shoot with a bow and arrow, no doubt about it. We had him right there, dead to rights. Drew on him. I had to shoot through a little bit of grass, but I had like a little window, and then I'm hard of hearing because I've had too many guns go off in my head, and Don was range finding for me. And he gave me the range, I didn't hear it, and then I said, what? And then he said, 36. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. And just that time, that bush buck started to walk away, and I just didn't feel comfortable with the shot. We didn't end up with a bush buck today. the very first time we're getting a chance to try out some new technology. Done a lot of experimentation with it, did a lot of testing, and this is my very first true hunt. Hopefully we're gonna get an arrow out of the bow tonight with the gut rake.
Without a doubt, I mean, a bow and arrow is an extremely lethal weapon. Without proper shot placement, without placing it in the right spot, things can go wrong. And we try to avoid that as hunters. And so there's some new technology. This broadhead is one of the most lethal ways to be able to take an animal. Now this week we're kind of excited because I'm in our exclusive bow hunting camp. I'm going to be sitting in a blind, and even though I like to spot and stalk, I have a brand new recipe. I have a special broadhead. This is the first time this broadhead has ever aired on television. Again, the warthog is an animal that I'm sitting in the blind this week a little bit earlier, waiting for those warthogs to show up. Somewhere around noon to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we see a lot of activity in the middle of the day where other plains game animals are bedded down. These warthogs are still active. So I'm sitting in here waiting and hoping that I'm going to be able to fire at a warthog with this new broadhead.
I shot my very first animal with the gut rake. That right there was the biggest pig explosion with an arrow I have ever watched. That pig literally was exploding when it ran through that water. It was, that right there just may have created the best blood trail I've ever seen in my life. Okay guys, the ravage knock, the gut rake is what I call it. This is actually 8 inches of cutting diameter after it enters the animal. This is my very first animal I've ever shot with it. I did a lot of experimentation in flight characteristics, but I've never seen a broadhead like this in my entire life. The very first patented broadhead at the other end of the arrow. Now I got a pass through right at 22 yards. That arrow is covered, absolutely covered in blood. For those of you that are just joining us, basically what it is it's an insert that goes over the top of the arrow. It has to get all the way to the veins before this will release and come off. Then these things that are pointed in that direction start to penetrate, and as they do, they flare all the way out and go completely backwards before they can come out. And so it actually deploys inside the animal. In a worst case scenario, when you shoot an animal poorly, you're going to be almost, over 8 inches of actual cutting diameter after the blade has actually went through the animal that normally does all of the devastating effect inside. But I just have never seen anything like it, and it just devastated that pig. This pig's going to be going nowhere. We're going to go get him and take a look at him right there. Whew, what a broadhead. We're following up our first blood trail here, but what's unique about this blood trail is we have huge volumes on either side. It was such a devastating effect on the inside of them, and if you look on both sides, I mean, it's actually squirting out both sides. It's not just falling or dripping. We're just started on this blood trail, and it's pretty impressive already. So, you ready, Don?
Yes, let's go.
I can see it and see it and see it and see it and see it. I'm here with the mighty PH, the South African Brad Pitt, Don, and we're sitting in front of one of the most handsome of all of the handsome animals in Africa, a warthog, and truly built like a tank. I mean, this animal is indestructible, isn't it?
Oh yes, yeah, definitely.
It's a true challenge with a broadhead. Not that you can't hit it, but to hit it precisely and then take it down within a few yards is a really big deal. And this is the most devastating 20-yard shot that I have ever made in my life. What a really fun hunt, and I'm just learning. Anything and everything that I can learn, any kind of a gadget that is worthy, and there aren't many gadgets that are worthy in the archery industry that I see that truly do revolutionize something. And this right here is going to save a lot of bow hunters a lot of heartache, and it's going to be more humane, and most likely we're going to find a lot more of these animals that we're poking with a bow and arrow.